Welcome to Earth Changes Radio, Episode 10. Tonight, the girls take over with a special Ladies' Night, focusing on the important stories that the ladies want to talk about and looking at the world today. And now, your special host for this evening on Earth Changes Radio.
Okay, guys, well, welcome to Earth Changes Radio. This is LoveisLite, and I just wanted to welcome you to the radio show tonight. We have Mindys Mum, RubyToday, I Am There, Butta Fox, Earth Angel, and Carol. We have some fantastic ladies, and we're going to talk about several topics today. And so just pull your seat up, load up paltalk.com if you don't have it, and join us for 1 hour of Ladies' Night.
Yes, I'd like to welcome everybody to the show. Dr. Hatham did an interview with us, answered many questions concerning Sharia law. Of course, many people have great concerns over this, which is understandable, and he was nice enough to explain much to us. So again, I would like to thank you all for coming.
Yes, hi, I'm Mindys Mum, and I'm a regular on Power Talk, and thank you again for listening to Earth Changes Radio, where we're going to be discussing Sharia law and what it means to you personally, or what it means to your country. Do you see it as a threat to your country, to your government's law of the land, and your viewpoints on what it means to a woman? So a woman's perspective on the Sharia law. Some find it threatening, some don't, some embrace it. So the mic's yours, love. Thank you.
Well, you know, Mindy, that was just such an interview that we had with Doc Hatham. He really kind of enlightened us a considerable amount. You know, I have to admit, I'm really not that up on the difference between different sects, the Sunni Muslims or different American Muslims, and what their different beliefs are. I know I hear a lot of things on the news, and I don't know if I trust that stuff anymore. You know, so I just thought it was really awesome to be able to ask someone that really grew up in Egypt. He's a pharmacist, and understood the Islamic beliefs, the Quran, was able to discuss these things with us. You know, in my opinion, you just can't think all Muslims are extremists. That would be like saying all Catholics are pedophiles. I mean, we just know that that's not the case. We know that there's good and bad in all cultures. And it's so nice to be able to just have a better understanding, to be able to understand, you know, if some people move into your neighborhood, would you be alarmed? Maybe if you knew a little more about their beliefs and why they do the prayers and the things that they do, you know, it might make you feel a little more comfortable. So I was really wanting to learn more about it and find some comfort with it, because I don't know that I could trust the news. They've turned everything into terrorism, and there's just so much fear-mongering on TV anymore, and there is a lot of hate, it seems like, you know, that it's like sort of throw the baby out with the bathwater, you know. It's all Muslims, they've got to go, everybody, send them out, you know. And that's really not what America's all about. Yet, I'm a grandmother. I don't want my children to grow up in a bad community. We've all worked and paid to have a free, what we think is free here in the United States, of freedom of religion and freedom of speech. So it would be really awful to fathom not having that and having something like Sharia law. So I found it fantastic. It seemed to me that in general they have a great respect for women, a respect for their religion, respect for Allah, God, their God. respect for morality, what they thought, their understanding of right and wrong. I think that's really important because we all have a different perspective of what's right and wrong. When we got into the burqas, though, that became kind of interesting. But I don't know. Is there any ladies in the room like Yams that maybe would like to give us some opinions or what they've been thinking about Sharia law and Muslims in the world and immigrants? That, do you feel fearful, as the news would have you believe? One of the questions that I asked was, what do you think the percentage is of all Muslims, what percentage are the extremists? I'm not sure I ever got the answer because maybe he doesn't know, but absolutely, it's a very interesting topic.
Yes, it is a very interesting topic, and it's current now in Australia, where it's being discussed on the media. And unfortunately, it's very volatile politically. So it's very hard to get a perspective on the Sharia law without the political agenda that is attached to it. So it's a religious law that is used in the country's courts of law. And I was trying to discuss with Dr. Hatham the viewpoint on, the naked body and the agenda that is attached to that naked body. Seems to be, depending on what country you come from, as to the social stigma that is attached to that naked body. So it was very good to speak to Dr. Hatham, and from what I got, that the mother is the hierarchy in the family. But my question is what happens when the mother is no longer considered as the hierarchical person in the family structure? So, in Australia, we've had a few incidents where women have been treated not so well because of the Sharia law, and that was my concern. And I know there have been a lot of women in Australia who have actively tried to get equality in the forefront of the workplace, in political work front as well. I remember years ago watching Tehran, and when they took over the country with their Islamic beliefs, women were then no longer allowed to walk the street without a male companion. They weren't allowed to study in universities, and they weren't allowed to drive. And education was not considered a priority for that for the female people. And trying to handle it with respect and not having my personal viewpoint being an agenda in the discussion was very hard for me. So thank you, love, and I think this is a very good topic to be discussing, many viewpoints, and it can be quite emotional for some. So the mic is yours, love.
Well, absolutely, I had to bite my tongue a couple of times, The truth of the matter is with the burqas and everything, I mean, there seems to me, from my personal perspective, being a true American woman, that they have much control. And they treat women almost as a thing, as a I don't know, an object, something to have, something to nurture, a thing, just a thing. I don't know how else to say it. As opposed to an equal is what I'm really going for, because I respect what he was saying, and like I said, I believe that he believes that, and I respect his belief, but I would never agree with it. But I'm sure it's because of my background and where I'm, because, look, I am a card-carrying, bra-burning liberal down deep inside, right? I've been pretty conservative the last 5 or 10 years, but I'm nowhere near where they are. And I can't even imagine covering all parts of my body because a man can't withhold his desire. That to me is absurdity. So, you know, that's where I did get my answer about why the burqa, why was it important, and basically the answer was, well, they're so precious, they shouldn't be exposed, and they shouldn't be able, no other man should be able to lust over their thing, their property. And so I was sort of taken aback by that, but I sort of thought that's what it was. Could never, obviously I didn't know for sure. But that, and like you say, and not being able to drive cars, so they have women, it seems like, at a perspective or a level that is not equal. And so as a equal, liberated woman, so to speak, it's just hard for me to even wrap my head around it. And then, see, and we get all this about the beheading, and so it's not just about how they treat women, it's about a whole lot of other things. Well, I see that we have Steve Johnson with his hand up here at Earth Changes Radio, and I would love for him to come on up and interject. He was here for the interview with Doc Hatham, and probably has his own opinion about Sharia law. Come on up, Steve. Okay, I'm sorry. It's Carol. It's Carol. Come on up.
Oh, hi, everyone. This is Carol. I just like to say women who wear the niqab, I always find them spooky, if that's the right word. You know, they walk around and I feel intimidated because you can't see anything. And why are they allowed to walk around and go into banks, go into petrol stations without having to take anything off for their identification, whereas motorcycle riders have to take their helmet off just to pay for petrol? It's very discriminating, you know. That's what I think.
Hi, this is Lorie. The thing is, there's moderate Islam, there's moderate Muslims, and there's the fanatical Muslims who interpret the Quran, you know, literally. And again, I think Dr. Hatham, who did the interview with us earlier, he sounds like a very moderate Muslim to me. Well, there are moderate Muslims. There's definitely more liberal Muslims, I would say.
Yeah, and you know, the mother is the hierarchy of the family. You know, that goes across many other different religions. And it was interesting I don't know that I was able to get his own personal viewpoint that was separate to the religion. So the religion is all-encompassing. So if it's written in the Quran, that is what you do. And that is foreign to a lot of people in other countries who don't have that belief. I know that, you know, in Christians, the atrocities that were performed by Christians, you know, is really sad part of history. But in Australia, the Aboriginal people in Australia, prior to the white man invading, they didn't wear clothing. So I found it very hard to respect that viewpoint, that because, you know, you're not clothed properly, you are perceived in a certain manner because of your clothing. And in New Zealand, a woman was raped by a man. He got off the charges because it was found that underneath her clothing, she had what was considered as scanty underwear. And so because of that, she was inviting the rape on. And the lawyers and solicitors in New Zealand, they demonstrated, and they all went to the courts with their underpants on the outside of their clothing in protest. And the man was later then convicted of the crime.
Wow, that is such a crazy story, Mindy. Thank you for revisiting that. And, you know, and it's just amazing to me that could even hold water in court. Again, my mind, I just, so I guess I'm wondering if we know as women that these men just simply can't deal with the temptation. Call them weak, shallow, whatever you want to call them, what the hell. You know, but we have to admit this. We have to acknowledge that this is what they're saying. When we get a hold of the most neutralized Muslim, he's still saying this. They can't take it. What does that mean to us women? As a grandmother, I'm thinking that we really don't need to tease these men. And if we do, if we go around them wearing the Daisy Dukes, if you will, or the real skimpy stuff, I mean, it's just really kind of asking for it. Not that it's fair or right or any of that, but I think that that's really kind of the takeaway that I have gotten here, is that, wow, I only thought men were shallow. Oh, did I say that out loud? Yeah, holy Toledo, you know. But I mean, you know, we've always known that men have always had these type weaknesses. I mean, here in America, every convenience store across the nation has 3 or 4 porn magazines in there, and maybe 8 or 10. I haven't looked lately because it's just not something that I look at. But, you know, why do they have that? Do you think the women are buying those things? No. So it's always been this underlying issue. I mean, I kind of referenced the whole pedo thing with the Catholics. I mean, I don't really understand how this gets so weird like that, but because I just want men to see me as an equal and treat me that way, and we do that. We have to do that for men. You know, why can't men give us that same respect? I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Yes, it is. And when I see it with the younger generation who have little regard for the opinion of others in regard to what they wear in Australia, they really don't care what you think. And if you have an issue or you dare try and touch them, they'll let you know. Like, who do you think you are? Hands off, buddy, and get back over there. So, yeah, it depends on your country, depends on how you were raised. And I know it wasn't all that long ago that women weren't allowed to go to the beach unless they were fully clothed. And that wasn't very long ago. So times have changed, and I see the younger generation will take it to another degree as well, you know, especially the women with social media. They're seeing what they're able to do in different countries, but bringing it back to the way the woman is treated as a precious entity, and that preciousness needs to be guarded, and which took us to the, you know, I said the body is a temple, and then the temple was then referred to God's temple, and that God's temple should be guarded and closed to the majority. Well, I had alarm bells going up with that. I'm like, what? No, that's saying that God is only good for one, you know, a certain small amount of people, and not good for the rest of the, you know, the people. I don't see it in that mind. I think it's an open door. Yeah, hi, I'm God. Come in. What do you want? What do you need? There you go. There's your stuff. Off you go. Go and sort your shit out. What? Go and sort. go and sort out what you need. I see it as pretty much black and white. Your mic, love.
No, I do understand. That is exactly why I asked about the Adam and Eve story in the Islamic belief. Did they have that? And they do. Because I wondered, if they're, so sometimes, men tend to want to hate women. That's probably strong, but because of the whole sin element that we, or there's just this little psychological thing of that we were the weaker sex, we caved, we gave in, it's all our fault, that kind of horse crap. And so I was just wondering if maybe they shared that because of the way they sort of view women, but he turned it around and framed it in a different way, and that it was about respect. I think that's, it's admirable to look at it that way. I don't know that I buy it, because no matter how they view it, it's still a gigantic element of control that they have over their wives. And then they can take on other wives. It's like, well, if one's not good enough, let's go get another or 5 or 6 more. Well, how respectful is that, really? Come on now. I mean, yeah. See what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. But so I think the most important part here is the takeaway on it is, though, they do have in the Islamic faith and within the Sharia law that is moral code for them. And by and large, they are looking at this from a moral standpoint. And he made it very clear that they respect women, they respect people, they, all the things that what we do not hear on the news about Muslims, they are no different than any other religion, I think. The extremists have just taken it to another place. And because it's Arabic, I'm sure, we can't read it, so it's very easy to hide all that in some sort of fog. But I see Ruby today is got her hand up, and she's looking to come on up, so please do. Thank you, Ruby.
Hi. I want to address with the Sharia law, which is very disturbing, how they treat homosexuals. They're beheaded, hanged, stoned. In modern Saudi Arabia and Iran, where Muhammad's laws are applied most strictly. 5 other Muslim countries also have the death penalty on their books for homosexual behavior. In the past, gays were burned. You see stuff on Facebook and whatnot that they're still doing that as far as burning them. So, it seems like Dr. Hatham did on certain questions such as these, he kind of fluffed over them. This stuff is actually happening. Where is the outcry from the moderate Muslims regarding this?
Yes, I was watching a show on Turkey, and everything was going fine, and they were trying to, then a gay procession started, and they were tear-gassed. It depends on where you stand with LGBT. It's quite common here in Australia, big push for them to be married. My viewpoint on LGBT is that it's better that it's out of the closet, that we know what's going on. We are able to talk. We are able to take statistics on it. And I think too that pedophilia has been tagged onto LGBT. I don't think that's a fair assumption. The thought of pedophilia is abhorrent to me. I don't like it. And we're coming up to 4 minutes to we go to break. Again, that's a very emotional subject for some. LGBT, where do they stand with it? Do they think it's okay? The Vatican doesn't like it. And also the Vatican, is it their priests cardinals. They don't have female cardinals, and they're not going to talk about it again for another 15, 20 years.
Well, it is a little bit discerning. You know, we've got organizations inside the United States on Islamic, a huge media influence. They have political influence that is really supporting the Muslim Brotherhood. Doesn't that sound sort of like maybe the KKK or something? I don't know which element of these are good, which has positive influence, and which don't. You know, O'Reilly, just I don't know, back in November, I think he did a segment on Islamic training camps, 5 major Islamic training camps right here in the United States, and they're out there recruiting. They're you know, they have boots on the ground in New York. It's just amazing that these organizations have been around for quite a while. Some of them are even, you know, engaging in, you know, anti-Americanism and those type perspectives. So it is alarming. Did you know that there's an Islamburg, New York? There really is. Islamburg. Look it up. It's on the map. Islamburg. And that's supposedly where they're engaging in radical guerrilla warfare. They're on the ground, getting in the ditches, learning how to shoot the guns and stuff. So, you know, why can't the authorities do anything about that? And I guess because they're in America, they have the freedom to be able to do all those things, and we just allow it, I guess. It's amazing the things that have been happening in this country. And so I just want to learn if I should be alarmed about it. We are getting close to the halftime, and so if there's any questions from the community here, please post them in the Pal Talk chat room. I'm going to take a little break here in just a minute or two. We're talking Sharia law. How does that affect you and your family? What does it mean to you? And we're learning about the Islamic belief and just how it might affect our country going forward in with all the immigrants that are coming in.
Well, that's right, and it touches on human rights as well. You know, that many people have fought a long time for to get those human rights. And you know, human rights, only a slave would ask for human rights. So, you know, only a slave would ask for freedom. So we're coming up to the last of the first half hour. And thank you for listening to Earth Changes Radio on paltalk.com. Earth Changes Radio, where enlightenment can be received from horseshit. Thank you, MW.
That's really good.
Yo, this is Petey James, and you're listening to Earth Changes Radio on paltalk.com.
Hi, guys. You're listening to Earth Changes Radio with Nephilim and Earthplay on paltalk.com.
With over 150 million registered users, Paltalk is the largest online chat community in the world. With over 300 Paltalk support staff speaking dozens of languages to help you enjoy your online experience. Meet new people across town, country, or continent while chatting about your interests. Sing live karaoke, listen to music, join a lively political debate, or play group trivia in one of thousands of chat rooms in various categories from your PC, your tablet, or mobile device. Joining Paltalk is free and easy. Go to paltalk.com and become part of our friendly community today.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm the King of the World, and you're listening to Earth Changes Radio on Paltalk with my dog Khan. Listen to him. What's going on?
My name is MW, and I have found peace from horse shit.
Hi, this is Sajida Eve, and you're listening to Earth Changes Radio with Rick and Steve on the Terraforming Earth Network.
And I'm not playing mobile state. I tune in to EarthChanges Radio on PalTalk.com. Wait, no! Damn it!
Just when you thought you'd heard it all before, now comes EarthChanges Radio, live and direct on the Terraforming Earth Network.
Hi, my nick is Our Daily Dose, and you are listening to EarthChanges Radio on the Terraforming Earth Network, the most insightful information radio you will find anywhere. Get your daily dose of truth here.
Hello, my name is Susan, and you're listening to EarthChanges Radio.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline, and you're listening to EarthChanges Radio on PalTalk.com. Great show.
There's been a lot of talk about this next song. This song is not a rebel song. This song is Sunday. I can't believe the news today. Can't close my eyes and make it go away. How long must we sing this song? How long? Too long. Tonight, we can be as one. Tonight, how long must we sing this song? How long? Too long. Tonight, we can be as one. Tonight. Sunday, late Sunday. Let's roll. Anyone who wants more details on my agenda can find them online. The web address is not very imaginative, but it's easy to remember. Park.com.
Hi, my name is Earth Angel, and you're listening to Earth Changes Radio with Rick and Steve on PalTalk.com.
Hi, my name is Scott, also known as Great Message. You're listening to Earth Changes Radio with Rick and Steve on PalTalk.com. Cow, it's been so long since I used this thing, I forgot how to turn the mic on.
Hi, my name is Chuck Norris, and we're kicking ass to Earth Changes Radio at PalTalk.com.
Hello, my name is Michael Kane, and you are listening to EarthChanges Radio on PalTalk.com. You are listening to radio. What's it called again?
EarthChanges Radio.
.com.
Hello, my name is Cheryl, and you're listening to Earth Changes Radio on PalTalk.com.
Okay, guys, so we're back, and looks like Mindys Mum has a couple of things she'd like to share with us. So I'm going to pass it on over. Come on up, Mindy.
Yeah, thank you, love. There was one question that I would have liked to approach Dr. Hatham with, and that was the circumcision of the female genitalia, which seems to be practiced in some countries and isn't practiced by all of the religion, the Muslim religion. And again, you know, I just like, my viewpoint is you can't tar one religion with one feather. It just doesn't happen. You know, there are some Muslims who assimilate just fine into the country. You know, they accepted the way of life here in Australia and they've gotten on with it. And the same could be said for other nationalities that have migrated to Australia. When they first arrived here, there was a lot of slang and a lot of racism that was directed towards them because of their culture. Well, generations down the path, they've assimilated and accepted the way of life, but it's also been nice to have had their contribution to society, you know, i.e. with their food, their culture, their colours, and their celebrations. In Australia, we have the Chinese community, and I love going to their celebrations. I like, you know, observing it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I do like to be able to observe it and to eat their food. And the same with Afghanistan's, people from Iraq, many different cultures. It was said that here in Australia, 1 in 4 people in Australia have migrated from another country. So we are a multicultural country. You know, and again, going back to the Muslim community, not all of them are extremists. And as Dr. Hatham pointed out, they don't agree with ISIS. You know, they've taken the law of the Quran to the extreme. And then, you know, trying to keep the discussion of Sharia law out of the political agenda, it kept creeping back in. It was like, no. Just separate that for a minute. We want to talk about the Sharia law. And it is adopted as in a court of law in some countries, the Sharia law. And then there was another question that I wanted to ask him. What happens to the female woman when she divorces her marital partner? What happens to her financially? You know, is she able to take her monies with her? Will she be supported? Do they have some sort of social security set up for the woman, and how is she treated by society? But I didn't get there. We ran out of time. You're mic, Mr. Nephilim, sir.
Well, thank you, ma'am. I do have a question for the ladies who've hosted a really, really good show today. How do they feel about the police wearing those ski masks? That is almost a niqab. That is almost the same as the Muslim women wear, but we seem to have an issue because it's a religion. But we don't have an issue with cops covering their face and hiding themselves. I mean, that's pretty much the same damn thing. If you want to walk around in public, you should be willing to show your face, especially if you're a government agent, especially if you're a public servant. You have an obligation to show yourself and identify yourself, but they're hiding themselves. I have an issue with that. Hiding yourself from the public, the cops are no longer serving the public. Let's face it. That's my question. How do you ladies feel about that? If we're going to ban the niqab, I say we ban the ski mask.
Hi, ladies. This is Earthplay. Great show tonight. I observed the chat tonight and the conversation, and I think that one topic was solely missing. You're blaming the men. Solely blaming the men. It is my opinion that women want to be desirable. There are times, and you can understand the teenage girl and the young woman dressing like that. So I have not heard anyone address that issue.
I married my husband when I was at the age of 41, and I always dressed modest when out with him in public. Fairly modest, pretty modest, yeah, I'd say. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
See, that's it. It depends on where you were brought up and the social agenda of your country. Here in Australia, it's very liberal. You know, you can go to the beach. We have beaches that are designated for people to bathe naked, and that's okay. They get on with it. People leave them alone. There are the perverts who go there just for that purpose. That's what they do. So yeah, you're my love.
Well, you know, I just wanted to interject. The thing is, Earthplay, it's not about blame, but do you think the women come up with the religion? Do you think the women wrote the law about the religion? Do you think they had any role in it whatsoever? I mean, because that doesn't seem logical to me. If they have no power now, they wouldn't have had any then. They would have had even less. So, you know, that's why I say look to the men, because they're the ones that created it. They're the ones that dictate it. They're the ones that uphold it to this day. You think the women really like wearing all that garb, especially in 2017? And what if they did get beat if they exposed themselves? We don't know all the stories and things that could happen. I've been told that happens, you know, or there's punishment of some sort if you are out even in parts of the house without covered, you know, and so. And all of that is due to religious belief, and you don't have that freedom to believe something different. You don't have that. So I guess that's why I'm thinking it's the guy. You know, the whole reason for the burqa was because men couldn't control themselves. So you're talking about being desired, but they're not showing themselves to be desired in a burqa. That would be the people wearing the Daisy Dukes, I'm thinking. Did I get that wrong? Come on up.
I cannot speak for other men or men that wrote the religion doctrines that seem to be imposed upon societies and segments of our society. I don't agree with it, and I can't speak for them. And I'm not going to apologize for them either. All I'm going to say is that I treat women with very much respect. I think that rape is a brutal, hideous crime, whatever religion, faith, or walk of life that you come from. It's a very complex, difficult, and painful topic for a lot of people. I have no problem with sexuality. I'm very moderate, I believe. I don't walk around outside exposing myself. I don't even walk around without a shirt. I'm a modest person, and I believe my friends and most of the people in our community have a mutual respect for one another and are modest. But yet you will still see from time to time women that will dress very provocatively. It's not because a man dressed her or made her dress that way. It's because she wants to feel good about herself. She wants to be desirable, and maybe she's looking for some romance, which would be my guess. But I can't speak for other people, most certainly, only for myself.
Yeah, well, it seems to be the clothing is the issue, you know. As to the way you dress is the way you are perceived by other people, you know. And in this country, Aboriginal people were naked, and it was okay. It was, you know, that's their belief that, you know, why would you cover up? And yet, when the Western people invaded this country, the Aboriginal people were forced to wear clothing, and it was so foreign to them. And you know, now. It's a very liberal country, you know, you can wear what you want. And the younger generation, they don't wear the clothing. The younger generation, they have a different perception on what a woman wears because they're okay with it. They've been around it for that long that they're okay with it. And if they were to walk up to a woman who was scantily dressed and said, look, you're whatever word they would like to describe them with, they would be told what for, you know, get over there. So it depends on your country, whether or not you're a religious person, as to, you know, your viewpoint on the clothing. But I myself, I think, you know, I don't really judge a person by what they're wearing, and that's just me, that's my personal belief. You know, if they want to walk naked, go for it, knock yourself out, you know, I think it's okay.
So, Savan, it is a system of moral codes, really, that they use. It's called Sharia law. It's based on the Islamic belief systems. Moral codes for family, women, men, really for everybody. It's, you know, we have a judicial system here in the United States, and for a lot of people, you know, Arabs, I guess, basically, that practice Islamic beliefs, or Muslim, or Sunni Muslims. There's so many different sects. It's almost like Christianity to me. There's a bunch of different sects to any religion, I think. But that's what it is. It is a system of codes and laws that they live by. And it has been very distorted, I believe, in our media. They've used it in ways to really do false flags. Some of these beheadings and things like this aren't even accurate. So I feel like they've used Sharia law and the lack of our ability to be able to understand Arabic to turn it into what they want it to be. And so that's why I'm trying to understand it. and to so then, I mean, how do you discern friend from foe if you don't know about something, right? Come on up, Ruby.
The word Sharia is actually derived from the Arabic language, and it basically means path, way, and it appears in the Quran in Surah 45:18. Now we have set you on the right path. Follow it and do not yield to the desires of ignorant men. And I also read somewhere too that Sharia had something to do with water, if I'm not mistaken. So it has several meanings.
Can I be heard? Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Can I be heard? Yeah, I was invited to this room by Nephilim. I know a brother for many years. And you guys want to talk about Sharia law. I'm asking you, can somebody explain to me what Sharia law is? And then I can answer to you in my point of view about this law. Can somebody tell me? Educate me. Mic is yours.
Yeah. First of all, Sharia, linguistically, from the classical Arabic perspective, the path or the way to water, stuff like that. The path or the way to water. This is linguistically in any Arabic dictionary. But according to the Sunni Muslim scholars' jargon, it means Sharia means the Islamic legislations or the Islamic teachings. So Islam as a whole is an Islamic Sharia. For example, when Islam orders me, according to the authentic Sunnah, for example, to never ever transgress any non-Muslim, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, said that, any Muslim who kills any contracted non-Muslim, he will never ever smell the fragrance of the heavens. This is an Islamic Sharia law. Also Islamic Sharia law, when Islam orders me to fast, the month of Ramadan. By the way, fasting, I'm a medical professional myself. Fasting Ramadan in the Muslim way is one of the ways to protect your body against cancer, because it is likely to help your body get rid of the internal poisons we call in the medical jargon the free radicals that are responsible for mutations or the DNA aberrations that are responsible for cancer. So back to my point. So being mandatory to fast the month of Ramadan is an Islamic Sharia law. Also, respecting my mom as 3 times as my father is an Islamic Sharia law. Also, considering women the most precious thing in this life is an Islamic Sharia law. So Islamic Sharia means, Sharia, according to the jargon of the scholars, means like legislations. And legislations are many kinds, like laws, ethics, teachings, etc. Anything Islam is concerned Sharia. That's all. Max 3.
Okay, so Ben, I'll put it this way: how it is presented in the American language. Okay, my understanding of what Sharia law is and why such a big hype is in America, it's no different than what a Jewish woman needs permission from her husband to get married and everything, but still the man keeps the kids, and that's dealing with the sect Jewish aspect. How I understand Sharia law when it comes to the women, okay, hey Ghost, you might be laughing, but this is how it's being propaganded. I haven't researched all the way into it. That also the fact that the husband gets the kids, okay, and that the woman has stuff to do, the Habib and everything else. We are hearing it within the law, okay? Then you have Michigan, who passed the Sharia law. Me, as an American, and I'm going to put it this way, I have no problem with it, because Judaism has their own sect and our own court system that most Americans do not even realize or want to accept that. And I'm willing to understand. I know a little bit about Ramadan only because of a chatter in here that I asked that I haven't seen in a long time, even though he isn't a practicing one, and that's Raz, and most of you probably know who he is. But hey, I'm being honest. I'm willing to learn. You know, I know MW, but when you got our court systems, you can't blame them on that. And I also do know about Islam too, that there are over 72 different sects, meaning different aspects of it, and some of them are not. Some people are just told what the imam tells them, and they do not read the Quran. This is what we're being told. Your mic, Saban.
All right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Can I be heard, please? Can I be heard? Myself, see, I'm a Muslim. I live in Canada. I was born in Europe. And let me tell you from my experience that Sharia law actually doesn't exist today. There is no country that they can say this is the true Sharia law. And when you go to any country, you have to respect their law. Let's say you have to go to Mexico, you have to respect their law. And the person that was talking before me saying something about the Michigan or was electing Sharia law, that's a bullshit. What's Sharia law? America has their own system, and we all has to respect. When you go outside, you have to respect the policemen, you have people outside. But what you're doing in your house, it's your right. That's myself. I do worship God 5 times a day. I do eat halal food. My wife wear hijab. She works in public school. My daughter go to the school. I have Christian friends. I have Jewish friends. I have any kind of friends. So the Sharia law, actually Islamic law, is similar like other law, teaching you good things, to respect your neighbors, to live in peace, to help. But religion is your private thing, to worship God the way that you want. Nobody can force you to worship God. And those ones that they are saying, oh, ISIS and this, ISIS was created by, we know very well who, and those killers, they don't represent Islam. They don't represent Muslims. They are the enemies of Islam and enemies of me, actually. So, anyhow, what else I can say? This is my point of view. So I'm kind of working, and I'm not able to take a microphone, but I'm going to listen to you. So, mic is free.
Yeah, as I resume my speaking, Islamic Sharia law, as I told you, Sharia law means Islamic teaching, or Islam as a whole. So, including, for example, no compulsion in religion. This is a verse in the Quran that says no compulsion in Islam, i.e., you must never, ever compel Islam on any non-Muslim. This is an Islamic Sharia law. Right? So I must never ever force Islam or any of the Islamic teaching on any non-Muslim. This is an Islamic Sharia law. This first. Also, another example of the Islamic Sharia law, the Prophet or the Quran itself says, Allah doesn't forbid you Muslims from those who have never fought you in your religion, nor expelled you from your homes, from being righteous towards them and acting justly towards them. Allah verily loves those who act justly. So this is another Islamic Sharia law. This verse orders me to be not only respectful or peaceful with the non-Muslims, but also righteous with them. You know what I'm saying? That's it. So Islamic Sharia law, without Islamic Sharia law, I will never ever be able to get along. Okay, to get along with the non-Muslims in the West. That's it. It's mic string.
Excuse me for taking the mic there, Saban and Neflin. I'm sure your questions are very validated in regard to this conversation. But we do have 2 minutes to the end of the show. And I'm sure that the hosts of the show would like to get up and say thank you. And I myself would like to say thank you to the people who have contributed to this conversation of Sharia law, and thank you to the host, and thank you to EarthChanges Radio. So perhaps the host would like to get up and just take the show to a close, and we will be able to take your questions after the show, Saban and Dr. Hatham.
Okay, Mindy. Well, thank you so much. It's been an awesome talk. I can't believe all the subjects we've covered. This has just been awesome. You know, Sharia law affects so many different areas of our personal life. And so we have really covered a lot. And it almost feels like, how do we go a whole hour on this one topic? Maybe we should even have a part 2. I don't know. There's so much to this. So I just wanted to thank everybody. I wanted to invite Ruby to come up and sign off as well. And thank you so much for coming up to the mic and interjecting your thoughts and opinions. This is a very sensitive topic, and we're just so glad that you guys would all participate with us. So I'm going to sign off. Ruby, if you're there, come on up. And until the next time.
Hi, this is RubyToday, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us for the first Ladies show. And I'll give the mic over to whoever. Thank you all.
Yeah, I'd like to say that tonight's show has been brought to you by EarthChanges Radio on powertalk.com.au, where there are many chat rooms that you're able to converse, put in your opinion, share your thoughts, disagree, not agree, argue, do whatever you wish. So thank you very much to our hosts, and thank you for listening to EarthChangesRadio.com.au, where you can find enlightenment from horseshit. Thank you. Over and out.
Well, let me be the first to say, fantastic show. It certainly was topical, certainly covered, as you said, a lot of areas. And indeed, talking about Sharia law, some people can't help to associate ISIS and Muslims. The interesting thing is, just yesterday, the former defense minister from Israel admitted in a news press conference that ISIS and Israel are allies. So there you go. We have no more discussion about ISIS being Muslims because they admit that they are allies. ISIS and Israel have been admitting, just recently, from Moshe Ya'alon, admitted that they are allies. So we've known it for years, but now here's the proof. It's in the media, but you won't hear that on the news. Only on places like this on Earth Changes Radio. Go ahead, Saban.
Thank you very much. Can I be heard? Can I be heard? I just want to add a few things on what you said, Nephilim, and this is exactly the truth. The majority of the victims by this ISIS terrorists were actually Muslims. The ISIS were created to kill innocent people in the Middle East and to brush Islam with their dirty brush. And this is not Islam, but what these maniacs present. And the ISIS was made by the enemies of Islam. Again, majority of the victims are Muslims and the Christians, those good Christians in the Middle East. But the Western media, they don't care about these Christians. They don't give a flying damn about them, and they always want to associate these lunatics, what they do, and on their heads, and they do this in the name of God. How can you do such a thing in the name of God? So anyhow, again about the law, like somebody was saying Sharia law. Like for me, Sharia law, real Sharia law doesn't exist in any country. It existed during the time of the last prophet. But the true Sharia law doesn't actually exist. Many people that they do certain things in the name of God, but actually it's not religious, it's cultural thing. Like for example, honor killing. Honor killing doesn't exist in Islam. How can you kill your, let's say, wife, your sister, or how can, and again, stoning. Somebody was saying about these fake hadiths. See, like many Muslims actually, they don't read their books. They don't know that those so-called hadith are made by the, again, enemies of Islam. Those hadith like stoning. The stoning is barbaric thing. It's not Islamic. Prophet never did it. And nobody can find me the verse in the Holy Quran when the God said that you have to stone somebody if somebody do something bad. No, there is different way of educating people. God is a merciful. God is a merciful, and He's just to all His creations. And there is no difference between us. I mean, between me and you, like a guy from Scotland or me from Australia. Like we all like human beings. This is what Islam is teaching us, you know. But unfortunately, the Muslims having a problems. They don't open themselves to the non-Muslims. Non-Muslims, they don't know how to learn about Islam and how to learn about true Muslims. They watch Fox, BBC, NBC, and they think this is Islam, this is Muslim. No, myself, again, I can tell you, I don't know what, should I tell you my, where I was born, this and that, but myself, I'm white European Muslim. I was born in European country, I grew up there with other people, and again, I have different kind of friends, and so this is what Islam is teaching us, to get to know each other. But religion is just a private thing, if you want to practice it or not. Nobody can force you to go to the mosque or to practice. Even you don't even need to go to the mosque. I mean, it's good to go, but you can pray at home. You can pray outside. You can do whatever you want, you know. So like we have freedom, especially here in West. Like in West, actually, we can be much better Muslims than in these so-called Islamic countries like Saudi Arabia and others. They don't represent true democracy and true Islamic actually behavior, you know.
But I'm not playing Mobile Strike. I tune in to EarthChanges Radio on PalTalk.com. Wait, no! Damn it!
So the mic's yours, love. Thank you.
Well, you know, Mindy, that was just such an interview that we had with Doc Hatham. He really kind of enlightened us a considerable amount. You know, I have to admit, I'm really not that up on the difference between different sects, the Sunni Muslims or different American Muslims and what their different beliefs are. I know I hear a lot of things on the news, and I don't know if I trust that stuff anymore. You know, so I just thought it was really awesome to be able to ask someone that really grew up in Egypt. He's a pharmacist, and understood the Islamic beliefs, the Quran, was able to discuss these things with us. You know, in my opinion, you just can't think all Muslims are extremists. That would be like saying all Catholics are pedophiles. I mean, we just know that that's not the case. We know that there's good and bad in all cultures. And it's so nice to be able to just have a better understanding. To be able to understand, you know, if some people move into your neighborhood, would you be alarmed? Maybe if you knew a little more about their beliefs and why they do the prayers and the things that they do, you know, it might make you feel a little more comfortable. So I was really wanting to learn more about it and find some comfort with it, because I don't know that I could trust the news. They've turned everything into terrorism, and there's just so much fear-mongering.
Welcome to Earth Changes Radio, Episode 10. Tonight, the girls take over with a special ladies' night, focusing on the important stories that the ladies want to talk about and looking at the world today. And now, your special hosts for this evening on Earth Changes Radio.
Okay, guys, well, welcome to Earth Changes Radio. This is LoveisLite, and I just wanted to welcome you to the radio show tonight. We have Mindys Mum, RubyToday, I Am There, Butta Fox, Earth Angel, and Carol. We have some fantastic ladies. I'm going to talk about several topics today. And so just pull your seat up, load up paltalk.com if you don't have it, and join us for 1 hour of Ladies Night.
Yes, I'd like to welcome everybody to the show. Dr. Hatham did an interview with us, answered many questions concerning Sharia law. Of course, many people have great concerns over this, which is understandable, and he was nice enough to explain much to us. So again, I would like to thank you all for coming.
Yes, hi, I'm Mindys Mum, and I'm a regular on Pal Talk, and thank you again for listening to EarthChanges Radio, where we're going to be discussing Sharia law and what it means to you personally, or what it means to your country. Do you see it as a threat to your country, to your government's law of the land, and your viewpoints on what it means to a woman? So a woman's perspective on the Sharia law. Some find it threatening, some don't, some embrace it. The workplace, in political work front as well. I remember years ago watching Tehran, and when they took over the country with their Islamic beliefs, women were then no longer allowed to walk the street without a male companion. They weren't allowed to study in universities, and they weren't allowed to drive. And education was not considered a priority for that for the female people. And trying to handle it with respect and not having my personal viewpoint being an agenda in the discussion was very hard for me. So thank you, love, and I think this is a very good topic to be discussing, many viewpoints, and it can be quite emotional for some. So the mic is yours, love.
Well, absolutely, I had to bite my tongue a couple of times, The truth of the matter is with the burqas and everything, I mean, there seems to me, from my personal perspective, being a true American woman, that they have much control. And they treat women almost as a thing, as a I don't know, an object, something to have, something to nurture, something, a thing, just a thing. I don't know how else to say it. As opposed to an equal is what I'm really going for, because I respect what he was saying, and like I said, I believe that he believes that, and I respect his belief, but I would never agree with it. But I'm sure it's because of my background, the extremist. I'm not sure I ever got the answer, because maybe he doesn't know, but absolutely, it's a very interesting topic.
Yes, it is a very interesting topic, and it's current now in Australia, where it's being discussed on the media, and unfortunately, it's very volatile politically. So it's very hard to get a perspective on the Sharia law without the political agenda that is attached to it. So it's a religious law that is used in the country's courts of law. And I was trying to discuss with Dr. Hatham the viewpoint on, the naked body and the agenda that is attached to that naked body seems to be, depending on what country you come from, as to the social stigma that is attached to that naked body. So it was very good to speak to Dr. Hatham, and from what I got, that the mother is the hierarchy in the family. But my question is what happens when the mother is no longer considered as the hierarchical person in the family structure? So, in Australia, we've had a few incidents where women have been treated not so well because of the Sharia law. and that was my concern. And I know there have been a lot of women in Australia who have actively tried to get equality in the forefront of
on TV anymore. And there is a lot of hate, it seems like, that it's like sort of throw the baby out with the bathwater, It's all Muslims. They've got to go. Everybody. Send them out, And that's really not what America's all about. Yet, I'm a grandmother. I don't want my children to grow up in a bad community. We've all worked and paid to have a free, what we think is free here in the United States, of freedom of religion and freedom of speech. So it would be really awful to fathom not having that and having something like Sharia law. So I found it fantastic. It seemed to me that in general they have a great respect for women, a respect for their religion, respect for Allah, God, their God, respect for morality, what they thought, their understanding of right and wrong. I think that's really important because we all have a different perspective of what's right and wrong. When we got into the burqas, though, that became kind of interesting. But I don't know. Is there any ladies in the room like Yams that maybe would like to give us some opinions or what they've been thinking about Sharia law and Muslims in the world and immigrants? That, do you feel fearful, as the news would have you believe? One of the questions that I asked was, what do you think the percentage is of all Muslims, what percentage are